I mean, that's my level. Sometimes there's leaks in there, just waiting for what I gotta think. That's not where those come
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Collins. So I just want to talk very quickly about the district-wide school safety plan. Back on May 16th, Mr. Wheelock actually shared this plan with the board, and that was adopted in June. And then in July, so we knew that there were there were emergency remote instruction requirements to the plan, but at the time there wasn't really guidance on what those components looked like. So in July, the Board Policy Service came out with this memo, and they attached the original memo from SED detailing the remote instruction plan guidance. So there were 6 components that were required to be in this school safety plan. And when ours was submitted back in May, there were some general references to these components, but we have since then provided more detail. So I'm just going to very quickly detail what these components are. The first required component is that computing devices are made available to students. The second requirement is that students are provided with internet access. The third requirement is the expectation of time on synchronous and asynchronous instruction. Synchronous means live instruction, asynchronous can be recorded material. The fourth requirement is the description of how digital technology will be delivered, or how instruction will be delivered for those who do not have access to digital technology, or that may not be appropriate for them to learn on those devices. The fifth component is how special services will be delivered to students with disabilities. And the sixth component is just an estimate of the instructional hours required during instruction should we need to go home. So I'll share this with that. Yes. So again, this district-wide safety plan should look familiar because it was board adopted in June. The addition is right here in Appendix 4 in the emergency remote instruction plan. As I stated, Mr. Wheelock had put general terms in there because at the time there wasn't guidance on what it should look like. Since then, he and I worked together to provide specific information on what the remote instruction will look like. So again, this is just an appendix in addition to the original district-wide safety plan. All right, so it starts here. This is just some background information stating again why the requirements are here, stating that providing guidance based on the pandemic. Okay, more introduction, but I'm not going to specific sections again. Each section covers one of the requirements that I just noted from SEP. So the first one was student devices access to computers, Chromebooks, whatever tablet we're utilizing. So right now our district provides one-on-one access. All middle school and high school students will be given a Chromebook if they want one to take home. Right now in elementary school, those students have each classroom has its own set of Chromebooks. The students don't take those home, but should we have to go home, they will be available to students. So parents can come to school to pick them up or drive them to their houses if needed. But we will just make sure that students have access to it. So that was the first requirement. The second one was internet connectivity. At the beginning of each year, we send out a survey to families in the community to ensure they have internet access. If they do not, we give them points throughout the community, such as a Clio library where they can access Wi-Fi. And if needed, we do have ways to example students to ensure that they can have access to internet. Also, I got an email today, the state has come out with what's called an affordable connectivity program. So parents, actually families that qualify for free reduced lunch can get up to $30 off the broadband internet service. And that's, again, that's the service from the state, just to ensure that we do go remote at any time. All students have access to the internet. Section 3, this details the type of instruction. Obviously, the emphasis will be on synchronous or live instruction. So here's a sample delivery model of what students in the elementary school could see. I also want to say too, this district website, this district plan is now up on the website. It will remain on the website for 30 days for public comments. And after 30 days, we'll review comments from that part. Changes, we'll adopt this next board meeting. Here's the sample school from the sample schedule from the middle school, sample schedule from the high school. Should we go remote? And again, there are a lot more specific details in this plan. Should you wish to read it, I'm just going to give you a broad overview. Section 4, again, students without digital technology. For some students, it just might not be appropriate for them to learn on Chromebooks. So we have to develop a plan what that looks like. There might be packets and books, there may be phone calls home. But we will work together with the team to ensure students are receiving the most appropriate instruction. Special education related services that would require group effort on our personnel, social workers, guidance counselors, teachers, teaching assistants, the whole support staff coming together to identify which students need additional supports through remote instruction. And the final requirement was the listing of instructional time. And as you can see here, it would be about 5.5 hours a day, depending on grade level of the student. So as I said, this plan will remain on the website for 30 days, and then we'll review it in the first September board. Questions?
Why only 30 days? Why not just leave it up there after it's
Oh.
adopted so people can?
It will,
have
yeah,
access to
you're
it
right.
later?
It's up for comment for 30
For
days,
30
and if it's
days.
adopted, you're right, though, but that's remains. Any other questions? Anything further?
Just a quick question, how are we letting the district know that they can apply for the $30 reduction in lodging?
We're going to send that out for parents first. So as I said, it's the email just came today, so I shared it with principals because we already have a free reduced lunch form. So one came with this attachment, but I think it was slightly different. So I just sent it out for everyone to look at, and then the plan is to send that out for parents for it.
That would be easy for people to fill out the form, which will help the district, because this year being that everybody's getting free lunches, I don't think some people are going to take the time to fill out that form, so having people fill out the form, you're gonna get a discount on your internet.
Right.
So,
So, yeah, and that's a good point too, because we've already talked with all the principals in the building. We're going to communicate that form to all the parents and still we're telling them that they're getting free lunch regardless, but we still want those forms completed. So all the homeroom teachers will be responsible for doing those forms. We want 100% return on those forms. So we're going to push to get out the information.
You can do it online too, right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah, we know that it is sort of like that. Yeah. Oh, also at our open houses, we're going through the money that we're going to do training and assist them with that process. Any questions? Please, Councilor. Chair.
I did it online. It only took me like a minute. They asked like 2 questions, 2 or 3 questions. Like, it's obviously says it's confidential, but it like gives 3 choices and then come like under a certain amount between these numbers and these amount. That's, you don't have to give your exact information. But took me a minute to summarize it.
You hear that, folks at home? It took him under a minute to read that survey.
Thank you, Mr. Staton. Next we'll move on to Board of Education Subcommittee reports.
So we do have a report on, facilities and transportation committee meeting. I believe Mr. Kelly is going to give that.
Yep, so on August 10th, Mike, Tony, and I, on the board, with Mr. Staten, Adam Crossman, Steve Parker. Steve gave us an update on the capital project. High school, basically his report was high school was in good shape as far as what they were doing. Middle school and elementary school was needed a little more work being done, but was a little concerned on how, where we're at now. I don't know if Mr. Staten has an update, but he's still concerned on elementary school project being completed. Then Adam, we talked to Adam on the bus driver situation. Before us, we were like 3 bus drivers short. But since then I've heard we've actually hired 3, right? So we're pretty good shape on that. And then we also talked about bus driver recruitment and salaries as far as one of the lower payer bus drivers as far as this area, one of the lower ones as far as pay, so we talked about that too.
Much know that there was a conversation about how things are progressing in terms of some of the food rate, kind of timeframes and in terms of what they're going to be done. The fact that get kids in, that pretty much nailed it. I knew that there is a conversation about the two exams that's going for the director or the gentleman, not the
Director of Facilities.
Thank you, Director of Facilities.
Did I miss anything else?
Are the teachers in the middle school and elementary school, they gonna have enough time to get in separate classrooms out? Or that's kind of what we're worried about?
We expect that it will be done next week. They'll be open next week. They have to work around some of the construction still going on. They'll be there. I mean, schools will be open day one. We're going to go as much time as possible on opening days. So it's compensate for schools.
I saw the email that came out, was it today, about the 5th grade orientation will be going on 5th and 6th. Always will be fresh in their minds.
I had to do the orientation for my from twins to 9th grade. That was last week. So, run together. Is whatever work is being done out front will be done, because when we were meeting, when I was meeting the math teacher on the 3rd floor, it was so loud. I can't imagine kids trying to be able to concentrate on and we were on the opposite side of the hallway, trying to listen in class and pay attention or change anything the teacher saying that jackhammer, whatever they were doing outside down, or there's no.
If it's not completed, that work will be done on the second shift, or it won't be interfering with school time. I just asked, are we definitely not seeing it? Yeah. You got it?
Okay.
Any other subcommittee reports?
Yes, the policy subcommittee. So there was one thing approved without revision, we had some approvals with modifications, and then something that's tabled for review. It was myself, Mr. Staten, Lynn, Ron, and Mrs. Sheedy. We're all partaking in that meeting. Mrs. Bashini presented the suicide prevention policy for the district. I thought it was lights out. I liked it a lot. We liked it so much that we kind of approved it there. Some things with modifications. Briefly, there was a discussion about probationary period for instructional employees. I think it's going to be 4 years as opposed to 3.
Yes.
There was some conversation about fundraising and changing some of the language and actually moving one of the actual paragraph that wasn't needed. There was conversations about what products can be utilized and timeframes. So, for example, it used to be that if I was doing a donut fundraiser, nobody else could. What we're looking at where somebody else can adopt that, but let's give it a couple of months, at least changing of the season of the sport, so to speak. Modify required time to declare fundraisers to 2 weeks. I believe the policy stated that the year prior to a fundraiser, they want you to have the information in for June. And we were kind of like, when did that ever happen? So we're looking at a couple weeks beforehand, kind of notifying folks what it's going to be happening. We're modifying the fundraising request form. There was at one time something that was called a girls coordinator that assisted the athletic director. We were looking at, is there a need for an assistant and not really utilizing the term girls coordinator? Because what if the coordinator was a gentleman? So some language kind of brought us back to the old, like the Little House on the Prairie days, girls coordinator and things of that nature. So just trying to streamline it and seeing, is there a need for there to be an assistant athletic director? Maybe we don't need one, or maybe we do. So we're kind of pushing off on that. Lynn is going to be the student council advisor. I believe that was part of the conversation, correct? All right. Correct. And then just some other minor modifications as well. I know that we looked at a form and a document that the class presidents were looking at, Mr. Reed, in terms of like looking at, for example, tank tops, spaghetti strings, things of that nature. It's not our job to review that policy, spaghetti string tops, sorry. But we were just looking at some of the things they were discussing. It's not a policy thing that we would review, but you were just kind of sharing it with us. We just kind of had an opinion on it. It's going back to them, which I think it's great that you're getting the class officer involved in that. It kind of gives them an understanding of how things work in the future.
And overall, all of the changes that we brought forward as a whole.
That is correct.
All of that.
Yep. So, and just a sidebar, I think the subcommittees are great. It's great talking to the administrators. It's good to have that open communication. It's good to kind of just have an understanding of how this whole thing works. This is my 3rd year, and I'm finally just starting to kind of figure out some of the minutiae and it makes sense. Because that's usually. That's it. I think we're meeting again. Is it the 26th and is it the 26th of September? Correct. The next meeting, we're looking at maybe gathering policy beforehand on email and looking them over, maybe doing 4 or 5 at a time. I think it was 4 out of 400 policies, so 10 years, right? We were kind of joking about it. But we're getting there. We're looking at it, we're getting there. And the thought was great. So I appreciate you getting all my things.
That's it. Okay, superintendent's report?
Just a couple small items. We are looking to, again, offer flu shot thing. We're reaching out to a new provider this year. Because all the past providers now want to charge us per shot fee. So we're not really looking at that offer. So we're looking at Upstate Family Drugs, which is what we're on here right now. And so tentatively, we have this plan for September 22nd, which is the next board meeting. But the owners are actually out of the country, so when they get back, we're confirm that date and time. We plan to offer that to all staff and board members. So obviously, we use their insurance.
Mr. State and I work with them. They're a good local company. The pharmacists there, so I put them on good folks.
So once we confirm that, I'll let you know for sure. And then I do have an update on the capital projects. I'm asking for more attention. At the high school, the boys and girls locker rooms are pretty much complete. Main water line replacement is substantially complete. And there's some masonry restoration, which you noticed. It's mostly complete, but again, the contractors, if they're working outside when school starts, it won't be during school hours. They won't interrupt the learning process. In the middle school, the soft flooring is substantially complete. There's some terrazzo that we need to finish after school starts, but it will not delay the start of school or any school function. And the locker rooms are complete. And then at the elementary school, the flooring is due to be complete by the end of next week. There's some additional exterior masonry work needs to be done because they realized up on the chimney, they were patching one of the sides of the chimney, the corners, they found a large crack that they didn't see previously. And they just thought while they're here, while they're working before something happens, when kids come back, let's just fix it now. So that'll be an additional component to the capital project, but as I said, now's the time to replace that. And then there is some HVAC/mechanical work that needs to be completed. We know this ahead of time, this will not be completed before school starts, but it will not affect the school function. That will be done later in the month. And part of that is due to the delay in materials being shipped. It's just an industry-wide issue right now. So, but again, that will not affect anything that happens in the schools. So we're looking good. As we're on track, we will open. And I said flooring across will be beautiful. We'll have to take it towards that point for you guys to see. I'm very impressed, very excited. And that is my report.
Okay. Thank you for that. Moving on to old business. Anyone have any items for old business? So I noticed that the iron emblems are on the columns on the outside of the football stadium area. Just curious if we're able to maybe repurpose them and like have them recast and then have, is that something? It's probably like it's gonna cost. I mean, I know we did with that. So is it something that now seems so easy, but you know what I mean? You pick a new mascot or just circle has to be, yeah, and can we get it back up?
I'm looking into this as soon as or maybe. Which one's going first?
That was my only question. Moving on to new business. Anybody else? I'm going to read 7.1 through 7.20. 7.1, appointment of lead teacher. 7.2, appointment of substitute teacher aide. 7.3, appointment of substitute teacher. 7.4, appointment of substitute teacher. 7.5, appointment of substitute teacher. 7.6, appointment of substitute teacher. 7.7, resignation. 7.8, resignation. 7.9, appointment of access records officer. 7.10, additional athletic appointments for fall 2023-2024. 7.11, sports combination. 7.12, a resolution for parent transportation contract. 7.13, appointment of bus driver. 7.14, appointment of bus driver. 7.15, appointment of bus driver. 7.16, treasurer's reports of balances for July 31st, 2023. 7.17, approval of minutes of the August 8th, 2023 meeting. 7.18, resolution authorizing payments of bills approved by the claims auditor. 7.19, appointment of substitute teacher aide. And 7.20, additional athletic appointments for fall 2023-24. Anyone have anything that they'd like to hold or any discussions needed?
I'll just add very quickly, a couple of those substitute teachers are actually interns for Paul Shuttle this school year. And you probably know, Grayson is one of substitute teachers, the fingerprint, and then in emergency, we will actually use those interns as a substitute. There's a limit to how much time they can stuff, but it is an option.
question with that. Do they get compensated under the same BOE that the certified teachers?
Depending on their certification, but I mean, there are 3 levels of certification for subs: uncertified, certified, and retired staff.
I don't have anyone that needs anything to be pulled. Can I get a motion to approve? All in favor? Got Mike and Jude. All in favor? Item number 8, resolution authorizing litigation against social media companies.
So I think you all saw the information that I emailed you regarding this. Essentially, there's a big lawsuit going on across the country where some of the school districts are joining because of the mental health challenges that we face within the schools. And there's some thought that social media students participate in, engage in, is a cause or related to a lot of these issues. And so, as I said, a lot of school districts are forming together some lawyers, and they are seeking some compensation from these companies. So I did reach out. There are other school districts in the area that are commenting on this lawsuit because there's no cost to us, no risk. So we participate.
Need a motion to approve?
I understand there's no cost to us to get involved in that, but at the same token, my kids don't have social media, and I want them a phone and provided that service to them, and it's up to me as a parent. So how can you hold the social media company responsible for providing the service? They don't have to, my kids don't have to partake in the service. I'm allowing them to take part in the service.
Right, that's a good question, fair question. So there's some thought that the social media companies construct their platforms to be addictive, to get students or really anyone to engage and to continue to spend more time on there through these little bells and notification.
So does McDonald's. Not suing them for being diabetic or having heart disease.
Some people have.
Maybe we should.
I just feel like, I mean, it's obviously it's no cost to us, that's fine, they just don't understand where the personal responsibility is of other people as opposed to taking ownership or something that they help contribute.
Right. Well, there's a similar lawsuit a couple of years ago. I used I'll mention the name, but it's a tobacco product, and they said that they were advertising to teens, and school districts won, and they all received monetary. So
it's just another class action suit.
I said there's no charge if we don't win, no charge to the schools that are signed up.
Anybody else? There's a motion for approval. Ron? Any second? Mike? Item 9, any miscellaneous? All in favor? Thank you. Miscellaneous topics?
I just had a quick comment. Met the track a lot. A lot of the sports teams, I'm not sure, maybe you had Mr. Jones talking to coaches, there's garbage everywhere. There's empty bottles everywhere. There's tape everywhere from where they strap it on and strap it off. I was not something caring about. I was kind of annoyed, especially when you think of the hundreds of thousands of dollars we've invested in that turf. There's trash everywhere, and I know that there are lots of tryouts. Soccer, my daughter going, soccer's there, football's there, and both sets of soccer folks are there, except for modified down the bottom. Just so we can let them know, please. I mean, how many garbage cans do you have to have?
The garbage cans back out.
The garbage cans are out.
I wasn't sure.
And including the one who can like slap the water bottle. It's got it basically says like put me here.
Yeah.
So if you could, I would agree. Thank you.
Any public to be heard? And then we have executive session?
Yes, to discuss some negotiation.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that first. Well, Mr. Thomas, since you reminded me what are you drawing?
I've already drawn one.
No,
299.
299?
There it is.
So this is like, gift card to Willville Diner. You did not?
Yeah, either it's support you. I said, do you want to support me or is it because you know you
It's got a chance.
You did say that last week.
One in front of you, that's. Let's go back to.
Okay, so can we have a motion to go into executive session? Mike and CJ, all in favor?
no.